Good evening, peeps. How are you doing? How's it going? How's it going? How's it going? Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, all of the things. No idea. I've got coffee, so maybe it's kind of morning. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, does it? Because the thing is, you might even be watching this later. You might be watching this tomorrow. Can you say good tomorrow? I don't know. How's it going, peeps? Hope everyone's well. Hey, Lindsay. How you doing? I have coffee. I just thought I'd hang out. I'm just going to hang out here. This is the stream. We're just going to hang out and watch the aardvarks doing their aardvarky business. So I'm going to stream some Tiguidou, but you're not going to see anything top secret. You're not going to see anything top secret because stuff has happened. Dun dun dun. Hey Swifty, how you doing? Episode 12. Shh, Secret Gubbins is happening. You're not allowed to see it until Saturday. So we've got some... Basically, we've got some stuff and things to do. You have coffee in your TP mug. Nice. That's cool. I need to get myself one of those. I never wear the hoodie. I like the hoodie, but I never wear it. It's not that it's like precious to me or anything. I just never wear it. So yeah, Secret Gubbins is going on in here. It's all recorded. Well, mostly it's recorded. It should be ready for Saturday though. So yeah, nothing you can see is going on in there. But we're going to do... I haven't done a stream on this for ages. So if there's anything that anyone wants to like see in more detail, or you want to like look at specifically, or ask me about anything, or if there's anything you feel like I need to kind of go back to. We haven't looked at the wolves for a while. I like the wolves. We returned to Tiguidou, exactly. I like the wolves. So the objective for today's stream is basically that we need to continue the stream. Hence the title. It's a stream within a stream. It's streamception is what we're rocking here. So the whole point of this is supposed to be like a natural stream coming through. It doesn't go anywhere that way yet, but it will eventually. Comes through the dew, tips over that little bit to like a shallow, and then it heads down this way. So we need to do, we need to continue this on. Because I'm getting to a point where I need to sort of start laying some plans out for paths and things. I've got a bit of a plan. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty much one of those like super chill placing down the rocks type stream. So continuing this really, and it needs to continue all the way down the hill to like down there. So I know we're not going to get very far on it, and as a break, as like an alternative option for when we get really tired of doing that. Hey Leaf, how you doing? Cheers buddy, much appreciated. Yeah, as an alternative when we get really bored of doing that, we need to do some of this rock work, because this here is the only bit that's kind of done, although it's not that far done. I like that bit. That's the only bit I'm kind of satisfied with, and then this obviously goes nowhere yet. But there's big plans for down this bottom end. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. We're just going to be like chilling out, bringing this hill down, this stream down, stream within a stream, as I said, streamception. I'm drinking coffee. It's going to be chilled. Talk amongst yourselves. Basically, it's going to be one of those type streams. Hey Elephant, how you doing? Oh, you've got a new thing. What's your little green... Hang on, can I click on that? Your icon's changed. I don't think I can click on that. Huh. I want to see what it is. Hold on. No, I don't want to remove you from the chat. I can't tell what it is. It's clearly not an elephant. Some little green thing. Right, so yeah, we're going to do this. So I'm going to pause it. Let's definitely pause it because it's getting a bit of a lagaton. It's already taking me about 15-20 minutes to load in. Actually, it's not that bad. It's probably about 5 minutes to be fair. So what I started to do is obviously where you can see it's got the like transition where it's a flat. I use the pools, so that's kind of what we're going to be doing. There's also going to be a couple of bridges going over, but I think we just start. I think we just start cracky-lacking and then see where we get to. So yeah, today I should be mostly placing a million rocks. Classic Planet Zoo style-y. And we haven't streamed in Tiguidou for a while, so it's going to feel a bit weird. I don't usually have to stream in Tiguidou. Usually I can just chill out. I can just chill out and not have to worry about my brain. But yeah, quite excited to share episode 12. It's going to be episode 12 this weekend, Saturday. Yeah, the more complicated you get a zoo, the longer it takes. It doesn't seem like it has... Oh, touch wood. Find some wood to immediately touch. It doesn't seem like it has much of a problem anymore. Actually kind of loading into the zoos. It used to be a thing. Back in the beta, we had a few issues where it just would be like, it would poop out and then just wouldn't get your zoo. But as I say, touch wood, I've not had any issues of late loading into anything complicated. Can't actually remember the last time I had a crash, which is pretty cool because, as I say, when we played I remember when I started playing the alpha or the beta or whatever it was that we got early access to. I was really worried that I wasn't going to be able to play it because I had so many crashes. Every time I tried to build anything, I just would lose it all. It just would crash. Is that looks like it's like brownie water. What? We don't want that. I've been working for a week and a half on the backstage of the sea lion and I'm now in trouble. I do not know how to do the outdoor. I have no ideas. So, interestingly on that note, I'm just sort of deciding, I mean obviously Seal Beach isn't ready because this is the one I pulled over from the actual original build. But like this has all got to go, right? Like this all needs to be replaced with the new seating gubbins. And I'm thinking I can probably get rid of... I think I can get rid of the tiling. I think I can just probably... Like, that's 2,000 pieces. And I think it was gutter... Was it gutter pieces? Yeah. Like, that's 2,500 pieces. And that's another 1,000. I think I can probably bin some of that and make it a little bit more... Even if I just use the font pieces are a lot less pixels, I think. But yeah, so I'm sort of deciding what I'm going to do with this. I don't really want to bin it because it's got a lot of stuff I really like. I'm wondering if I make this the sea lion habitat. See, even stuff like that, it's kind of tricky to place. So that's supposed to have water in it and was another barrier. This might become the sea lion habitat. And then I might do a seal habitat somewhere else, a grey seal habitat. Depends how much space I've got. Obviously it's getting a bit squishy. Everything's getting a bit tight. By the way, I'm doing the same time as yours. What's that? You're doing the same... time? What do you mean time? You're doing the same like design or style or something? Cool. Keep saving. You have to set the fatal... I don't remember the last time it crashed. Yeah, so I was watching... Who was I watching the other day? I was watching Stacky Taka on Twitch. And she had like one save file. I was like, what? Are you mad? Are you mad? For one thing, I mean, because to be fair, she's been working on the same zoo like forever. She's got like an everything in the world zoo. What was I doing? I was keeping it fairly flat. But like I'm sort of madly obsessive. Like even if I was to lose episode 12, I'd still have episode 11B and episode 11 and episode 10, and so I think I'm alright. And if it crashes, it crashes. There's not a lot I can do about it. But yeah, I do regularly save, and it's actually a bit of an annoying thing because I've got a bit of an obsessive habit of saving, and I think it is from that first, from the beta or whatever it was, the alpha back in the day, because it crashed so frequently. It's something I always have to like really edit out when I go and do my speed builds and stuff. Putting a video together, I'm like, oh my god, there's another moment where and sometimes it feels like it's like a minute between me saving. Hey Bolt, how are you? Put the sea lion with the wolves. Yeah, that's kind of my thought, because they're a cold climate animal, right? So I'm kind of thinking maybe I repurpose that to be more like a colder area. And then thing is, what we could do, I don't think this would work, but like I don't think they could be split. Obviously all this like horrible barrier and everything isn't right, it's all got to be changed. But I'm tempted to see if I could put I'd make this a sea lion habitat, and I'd make seals here or seals over here. I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to reveal too many secrets. I'll get sucked into revealing too many secrets. This is pretty. Thank you very much, Bold. Yeah, this is one we don't. I never really stream this, but this is an alright time to stream it because it's I'm doing something that's. I know I haven't streamed. I haven't streamed Planet Zoo for a while, so I was like, yeah, I thought I'd just do one of these, and I was like, well, I could do the community zoo because I've got a load of stuff that I can do in that, or I could go back to Zimba, and I've not abandoned Zimba, but it's yeah, this I just felt like I'd want to do this because I knew this was something I had to do, because the longer I put this off, the more of a problem it's going to be. So I want it to all feel fairly shallow, so I'm not worrying too much at the moment about all of this stuff because I can fix all that up. Basically all of this has just got to get kind of hidden and softened. The edges have all got to get softened. I thought we'd actually have the game music today as well, because I rarely ever listen to the game music, so it's quite nice to have it on. I know some people always stream with the game soundtrack, but I tend to not really. The other thing is as well, is because all the paths are going to be, I think most of the paths are going to be raised up like that. I don't think this junction's happening, by the way. I'm not sure whether this little viewing point's going to stay. But yeah, it's sort of a lot of this is going to get kind of hidden because the path's going to be up against it. And there's going to be trees and stuff, so. So I think we'll probably just do stuff like this as well, just pot rocks, because I don't really want to have all of that waterfall texture showing. Just see what that looks like. Does it actually look like it's running over the top of that still? Yeah. The other little trick to do is just to put, I don't know if I've done it anywhere in the stream, is to like go, oh, that looks like that might be somewhere I've deliberately done that. I feel like maybe I've added those splashes in. So like create these little, that's definitely fact, that's a bit rubbish, doesn't it? That's a bit rubbish. Why are they so high? I'm never going to find those now. Oh well. Pretend we didn't see that. But yeah, little points where it's hitting something and it kind of bubbles up. Like from this sort of distance, that will make sense. I think there is splashes there. So like that needs something in there to make, like, why is all that splash in there? I think that's probably the end of a waterfall. In fact, that looks like it's the wrong colour there. Yeah, it's like really dark. I guess we'll match it to that. Can be a little bit dark, but it's going to need some. Let's put a little bit of green in there, I think. It's all going to get kind of blended away anyway. I really wish Frontier would give us less violent waterfall effects. Yeah, I think it's a tricky one. I mean, the guys that have done the modding, I've not used this, but there's and I haven't really seen it other than when Beyond Drew did his community showcase of it. But there's like a waterfall thing that those guys have modded. That's if Leaf's still here, we'll be able to tell us all about it. But it's like I think it's like a water generator or something, and it just like pours, and whatever direction you turn the thing in, it pours in that direction. But you're totally right, like the water effects are I mean, it's all like you can do, like I was pretty happy with this. Like this is, if you sort of try and like work out where the flow of the water, so like to do that I moved, I basically made those little gaps in the rock. Well, actually, I think I put the rock down first, and then I thought, well, how would the water kind of jink its way down? And then, yeah, and you kind of you end up. I think I probably got like fountain jets over here, and they just end up with the end of it, so that you just get like it kind of bouncing off, and then because it would then hit that, there's like a load accumulating there, so then that's another point that it's pouring down. I've yet to use the mods. Was going to wait until support ends for the game. Yeah, same basically, pretty much the same. My terror of like just losing something, and I do quite, there's a lot of good stuff that I haven't used in the game. Not building wise, like I pretty much know all the building pieces, and I use all the building pieces all the time, but yeah, animals wise, I don't have a desperate need to use the mods, but there's definitely some amazing stuff. There's some stuff like yeah, like the things that really appeal to me are the things that are like the sort of little quality of life things, like the Eben made the shop mod where you can have the box hidden and stuff. Like you don't have to have the great big 4-foot wall for the boxes. This is a little bit of a challenge. I guess we could just do, okay, let's do that, and so I'll show you what I mean, because that's obviously dry, no water going over the top of that, so we're creating a blockage. We've got to make it look like the water's hitting that. Love the music. I love the music as well. As I say, I don't listen to it that often. It's quite nice to have it occasionally. This is all a bit. It's all a bit heavy on detail, but I kind of want this to be. I want this to look nice. So let's use some of the little faux. These guys, yeah. That's probably a bit. Maybe that's getting a bit blue. That base looks a bit blue, doesn't it? That's a better colour. So yeah, it's pretty much just going to be a chilling out, chilling out, placing down rocks type of day. Yeah, I got all of the music. I grabbed all of the speaker music as well. So, well, a bunch of the speaker music. So we should hear that in the playlist at some point as well. I'm going to use this too heavily because this always looks a bit unrealistic, this stuff. The gravel mod. Oh, I haven't seen that one. Oh, I sort of don't want to look sometimes because I'm like, the temptation. What does the gravel mod do? The gravel path, yeah, the trouble is because I've actually got, it's actually terrain shifted here. But you are kind of right. Maybe I'll do that at some point. So I've done that in a bunch of places with the, the wood chip and stuff. Hey Beckaboo! I do not know why it feels like the next DLC will be either Aquarium pack or Avery's pack. Well, I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore. I speculate and then I'm wrong, which is, I don't mind speculating. It's all part of it, right? See, I think that's a bit more. I feel like that's a bit more like a fountain almost. Like that would make sense if it was supposed to be not supposed to be a natural. It looks like I think maybe the water's a dirty colour. Yeah. It could be a bit, but I don't want it to be too much. Temple rubble is my favourite type of rubble. God, I love a bit of temple rubble. So, I think sometimes if you think about, like, this is probably stupid, but this is how my brain works. So this is a fast bit. So, and this is a natural blockage. So in my brain, I'm thinking little bits of stone would get collected there. They wouldn't be stuck here because that's where the fast flow is, if that makes sense. So that's why there's like a whole bunch there. But it does need something here. It needs to feel like there's an obstruction there. I've got like a. Okay, fair dues. Oh, we've got all the new little branchy pieces as well. It's like the mulch piece but gravel. Oh, that sounds handy. That does sound quite handy. Yeah, I'm sort of the same as the Hobbit. I was like, I'll jump in on the mod train when we lose our support. But it sounds like it's going to be a while. This Frontier does a crazy update again. Scenery mods shouldn't break. Keep all my mods connected to a sign in the corner. Oh, that's a good idea. So you just got them grouped all together, and so you just like, in emergency, hit this button. In an emergency, hit this button, and they'll all just disappear. That's what I'm looking for. That's a good idea. Okay, chill out for a second. Yeah, I guess it's a little bit of. I do quite enjoy the challenge. I think it's one of those things with games when you can find the way round something. Like, I don't know, I find that quite satisfying. I think that's what I've said that before in other things, but like I think it's what I find compelling about these games is when you have an idea and it's like a problem solving exercise. You're like, how do I? So like, I'll give you a little bit of a spoiler for Saturday's episode, but I made a little hose thing, like a little hose holder. You know, you see like a little garden. Someone commented the other day, and it's right. There was like, yeah, you've got. I've blocked all this off now, but there's like there's this little yard area, and it would need to be like hosed down and stuff. So I've looked on the workshop, and there's like a bunch of people have made them. And sometimes I'm like, I kind of just like the challenge of seeing if I can solve that problem of how you make it with the existing bits. And to me, and that's not a criticism of anyone who's making mods, because I think there's some really awesome stuff, and I definitely will end up using it eventually. But right now, it's like I kind of enjoy that challenge of seeing how I can make it out of pieces. You know, it's a bit like a good example of that is almost like the billboards versus making stuff out of font pieces. Like clearly, it's way easier to make stuff out of font pieces, but there's a little bit of me that takes sick satisfaction in making them out of the font pieces still. And that's sort of how my brain works in terms of the mods. I'm like, okay, I can't have that thing. So this is obviously only applicable to the scenery mods. I think the animals are a different set of criteria really. The only reason they broke was because they updated the entire game. Yeah, so that big jump, wasn't there? It was a big jump in the... And that caused the load to break. Yeah, I mean, I don't envy you guys at all when those things happen. And I do think, you know, to some extent you've kept some interest going at times when there have been lulls in... definitely been kind of lulls in activity. Right, we need a bigger... So having this stream and this stream, wish I could get that up close and personal with those branches. I know. That's totally true, and I've been doing that personally as well. My newest series is just all vanilla. Oh really? Interesting. So not even any animals? Not any of your own animals in there? And I don't think I'd be able to fight the temptation if I'd made my own animals. I mean, that's the thing. It's like massively beyond my technical abilities as to how you guys are even doing this. It's like magic. But I think if I was making them my own, I'd be like, I definitely have to have all my animals in this zoo. Every time I make a zoo, I have to put all of my own animals in there. Sodgy Frontier. I think the only other thing I will concede to a little bit of snobbery on some things as well, because the fish and stuff, they're wicked, and I know you're hamstrung by the restrictions that you've got, but it would do my nutting if I saw one of my fish walking on the land. I'd go mad. Come wriggling out onto the land. I think that's probably a bit much. Let's maybe just bury some of it away. I'm having such a hard time not using mods. Well, that's why I kind of don't look. I look at I say that. I never look at Nexus. I do watch Drew's showcase, but I think I always just kind of go, not for me. But there's some wicked stuff, and some, you know, definitely the African pack. Yeah, the irony of that African pack. I think one of the things that really made me laugh when I saw that African pack was before I'd done this. Where is it? So Lime Rider did a load of like decals with cracks, and I had literally just spent however long making little cracks for my concrete, and they don't even look that good. But you're right. I kind of agree, Bold. It is the challenge that breeds creativity, and then it's that sort of cascade of ideas that I really like. Okay, and how does that look with the water now? Sort of wrong. It needs some water. I think the other thing as well, if I knew how to do it, I'd never get anything done. Because I'd always just be like, let's just make let's just make another thing that solves that little problem for me. Which I guess you could do. So we just want to make it look like the water's hitting that, basically. And then what have we got? We've got like a... So I don't think that's right. But yeah, I would love some... I'd love some smaller water effects. Needs a little bit of something in there. Maybe we put some more gravel. Temple rubble. Ba, 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 ba. If in doubt, shove a bit more temple rubble in there. It's kind of cool to see that they've added all the these little branches and stuff. Something I didn't think they would do, because they're like really small pieces, those. I guess they're not really expecting us to go nuts with them, but some of us are. Some of us are going nuts with them. Although I play on a laptop, so if I can place down one modded piece instead of like 300, yeah, that's very true. I understand that point of view. And that is kind of why. I mean, it was a bit of a sacrifice when I decided, yeah, because this is a small map, right? So I made the conscious decision really early on when I made this map that I was like, well, when I used the scenario map, it would obviously mean I would be sort of hamstrung by the amount of space I could use, but I knew that the amount of detail I wanted to put in was just going to mean that if I gave myself a physical restriction, I'd be forced to. I'd be forced to keep it. Well, I'd hopefully be able to make it work within the confines of the game and stuff. And so far, it's not like performance-wise. I said sort of loading in takes a while, but once I'm in, it doesn't really seem to have a problem. Well, you get a bit, some things like obviously water and stuff like that is a bit heavy on your your load. Kill a puppy for a pack of zoo items like bins and air vents. Yeah, tell me about it. Like, I mean, I'm past really caring whether the guests use anything. So, like, I don't think actually any of my bins are functioning, because I would rather have them look like they're. And it's because you can't actually do that. The game won't let you put two bins like that close together. Even if you can get them in the position, because obviously the trick is that you just put basically you just put the path down wherever you want it, and then you place the bins on it, and then you remove the path, and the bins stay, and that's how you get them to be next to each other like that. But if you try and do it in the game, I mean, they're pretty. There's not really much to those, but yeah. So you just like, I put one there. Like, I can't put one. I mean, that's about as close as I can get it. So mine don't function, just purely for that reason. just because I wanted them to be close together so they don't function. They're not actually on paths or actually attached to this path, even though it's here. Oh, you've said this before. Sometimes I quite like letting the guests in, especially when you're like, you know, if you're modelling, if you're trying to work out what a view looks like, or like the view into a habitat looks like. It is kind of nice to see what it feels like from the guest level. But yeah, you can't do as many things as you want. Like you can't put them in holes like this. But yeah, like a clutter. I mean, I think that was the thing that was kind of funny when was it Prehistoric Kingdom put out a little dev blog thing, and it was like there was a whole load of stuff in the dev blog, and I think most of the people that play Planet Zoo that also are interested in PK just like jumped all over the clutter. It was like, oh my god, you can get different color buckets. You can get buckets. Oh my god. That was what we all jumped all over. Is that the same? It's kind of the same one I used up there, isn't it? So that's basically the gist of how I'm gonna kind of cover up these little where I've got joins and stuff. In fact, actually, this one's not. No, it's never actually getting there, is it? This one. Huh. It's never actually. Is it? Can I go any lower than this guy? Oh, I can. No, I can't. Oh well. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I think the guests make quite a lot of difference. I would guess that the guests are like CPU load rather than graphical, because it's calculating their. I guess it's calculating all of their like pathing and stuff. Just so happy that after I tweeted PK, they changed their bedding to be straw bedding, not hay bedding, because hay is 1 green and 2 food. Interesting. Well done, you. It's not beech, is it? It's birch. What does everyone think is the best DLC in terms of the music? And what theme has the best music in the game? Discuss. Do, 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 do. I think the original, that kind of original kind of tribal African stuff is my fave. It's quite a lot of good stuff that is the speaker music's got quite a lot of good little jingly tracks in it though. Yeah. Oh yeah. Speakers. So look. Where is it? Where is it? This guy. So let's pause that a second. So yeah, if you go in here, you get all the different playlists. So what's actually the Taiga playlist? Asia Taiga. Yeah, each pack gets its own little playlist. These are really good as well. A lot of these are really good. But you only get these. These are not menu music. The menu music's different, obviously. I quite often use these in my videos. You reckon Australia? The Aquatic Pack Surfer vibe was great too. Well, let's have a listen to that. So what's Australia? I don't even remember these. That's not one. Play. Nice. Might be a bit quiet for you guys to even hear that. I don't know if you can. Can you hear that, guys? Get a bit closer. Get it right up in my grill. Might be a bit quiet for you peeps to hear that. So there's sort of variations of the same. They got similar kind of little bits. Super quiet. All right, okay. I think I've got. I just said, didn't I? Hold on. Let's play it. I've got it actually on my playlist. Let's just play those. I'm not sure which ones I picked up. Let's play that. It's coming through in a second. Yeah, they're supposed to just be kind of ambience, aren't they? So I think they are kind of quiet. Let's see what this does. I'll turn it up a little bit. It's quiet, but it's coming. Are you looking forward to Prehistoric Kingdom next year? I have so many hours of Planet Zoo. Looking forward to a change. Yeah, I definitely am. I definitely am. I think it's supposed to be alpha this year, right? December something. So I've got alpha access, which is pretty awesome. Okay, so we'll make that another pool, and then actually maybe that needs to go down a bit more. Probably needs to be a bit smaller, this one, I'd say. Someone say dinosaurs. How you doing, Mrs. T? My favourite part of the speakers, though, is that they get louder the more you place, and if you speed up time, the music also speeds up. Does it? Oh, I've taken it away now. I'll have to try that. Is this barrier even doing anything anymore? Yeah. That one isn't. You have alpha access you can play this year, lucky bugger. Well, I played it in beta, so yeah. I think I gave away a key to someone, didn't I, for my 3K celebrations. Hope that person remembers who they are, because I don't. Hopefully they'll come and find me when the alpha comes out, when the beta comes out. Sure they will. Sure we've got it in the Discord somewhere. Right, so this is going to be much more of an actual kind of waterfalls, I guess, if I do it at that scale. So let's... Okay, let's see what we can do about this. Make this feel like a waterfall. So I could probably just like jam a falls in there. Hold on. December the 6th. Oh, you've covered it loads, haven't you? I haven't done well. As soon as we couldn't kind of copy and paste, I struggled to stick with it, to be fair. Was it copy and paste? Oh no, it's undo. It's the lack of undo that was a bit of a killer for me. That's not going to work, is it? Because it's doing a weird... I don't want it underwater. Actually, if I use this one... Oh god. Oh god. Something I didn't understand pretty comes out on December 8th. So it comes out in its closed alpha in December. So unless you basically already had bought a key, unless you were like an early adopter or you got given a key, it doesn't come out for general release until April. I don't know about this at all. Oh, that could work. So if I hid that away, let's just grab one of these. Oh, not that. One of these. We make it look like it's shallow again. So obviously that needs to change. So, undo button is in B. Oh, has that been confirmed? Is it? Sweet. Good. Thank Christ for that. And what about groups and stuff? Has that been confirmed? Do. Yeah, it's very chill, isn't it, the music? Game will be available for purchase in December. No, it will not. It will not. So the game, so there was like a Kickstarter campaign ages ago, and in that you could buy tiers of kind of support, and one of those gave you early access alpha, and one of them gave you early access beta. And it was quite, I can't remember how expensive it was. Pretty expensive though, wasn't it, Mrs. T? I can't remember how much it was, but it was like 70 quid or something. So I actually was not going to buy alpha because I was like, I don't think I could justify it. And so I bought beta and then got given a key. Well, I think they offered a load of people keys. Yeah, April is general. So April it will go on sale to everybody, and that's the next time that you can buy it. I don't think they've just. I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying that. So yeah, I then had an alpha and a beta key. I gave one away. My beta key I gave away, and I played in alpha. And obviously I'll keep my access from alpha when the beta comes out. But yeah, I played a bit. I did play a bit. I think we streamed it a bit. I made a few videos. But I struggled with because I'm so indecisive. I need the undo key. That was the killer. I don't really understand how you had the patience, Gemma, to carry on playing without the undo. It just would have killed me. Building groups have not been confirmed yet. Okay. I think that was the only real obstacles I remember from kind of diving in building wise was, yeah, undo and groups. It's funny how much you sort of take those things for granted when you're playing Planet Zoo. You just don't really think about it very much, but they're massively important, and you miss them so much when you don't have them. So are we following this? I guess we can follow that. And then I don't know what we'll do when we get down here. I think maybe that'll have to be something. 80 quid. Yeah, that sounds about right. Sorry guys, one sec. Something just made me sneeze. Excuse me. I saved you all from the sneezes. Can't wait for game management instead of building implied habitats. Yeah, I don't really remember a lot. I need to watch my own video again, to be honest. But I don't really remember what the features of the game. Oh, was there like a I keep getting a bit mixed up with the Jurassic World Evolution announcements. I don't. Everybody's got lurgy though, don't they? Everybody's ridden with the lurgy. I've got to keep this fairly flat because I've got a bridge over the top of it, so it's all got to stay fairly low. Schnitzel. Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's that and Hometopia I'm really massively looking forward to. Super excited about that one. Not really that bothered about Jurassic World. It's just not really my sort of game. The management bits of it, of those sorts of games are kind of alright for a bit, and then I just get a bit bored of them. I find them a bit repetitive. No, I don't think I'll bother, Joe, to be honest. I played Jurassic World Evolution 1. In fact, I played... this is how long I played for. I got a refund on it. Not because it was bad. I was just like, it's just not really it just wasn't really my cup of tea. I don't know. The kind of... yeah, the management bits of it are just boring for me. Is it going to let me do this? We shall see. So I want this just to be a little bit lower, but we'll have to go up first. It's not what we want. We want it higher, but not that high. Is that lower? Is it higher or lower? No, that's higher. What was for tea? I had sausages. I had sausages without breadcrumbs in them, which was good. Happy days. Maintaining the old gluten-free. What else did I have? New potatoes. Some green veg. It's a whole new healthy toves. Oh, I did eat some fruit pastels afterwards though, so. But yeah, it's small battles. You got small moves on the small moves, right? Except that there's going to be some. Occasionally, you're going to have. If you're having kale, occasionally you've got to accept that you're also going to have a little handful of fruit pastels or opal fruits. Starburst, not called opal fruits anymore. I'm showing my age. Delicious. Not in the same meal. I'm not a savage. This one's so chilled. Love it. Can everyone hear the music now? Or not really? Is it just the ASMR? The ASMR water sounds. This all needs work, obviously, but getting there. Holding on for the turkey curry update. Two portions left. Will they be eaten by December? Place your bets, people. They will. The thing is, now I'm on. Now I'm in a much smaller freezer. So I've always had. It's a thing I got from my mum. That my mum was always like a. My mum was always, if there was ever like a natural disaster, there was enough food in the freezers for, you know, like 6 months. And I've always kind of had that gene from my old mum. So, but then because I've now moved into a smaller place, I've only got a little like box freezer that goes in the above the sort of in the fridge sort of thing. So yeah, I just can't. So it's like a bit of a one in, one out sort of thing. If the turkey curry's getting eaten, because I've got to make space for whatever else is going in there. Music is fine, thanks. Had some fish with fancy marinade on top of creamy mashed potato with herbs and actual tea with it because I am sick. Tea with mint with acacia honey. You feeling any better today? That's good though. Yeah, honey's like a magic thing, isn't it, for sickliness. It's got magical powers. That's better. That's more like what we want. Okay, now we can drop all this away probably. Can that actually just go as well? Okay, cool. That could just not have been there. It's just this. Sweet. We always used to have, when I was a kid, we always used to, my mum used to give us when we were sick. It probably explains a lot, but when we were sick, if you had a cold or like a flu or whatever, we'd have, my mum would make what she would call a potion for you, and it was like a Beecham's powder. What would be the equivalent of Beecham's powder? I'm not sure. Well, like it was like a cold and flu sort of remedy thing in a hot squash, so like a hot orange or blackcurrant or something, and then a vitamin C tablet, and then the secret ingredient I didn't find out for many years later was a shot of whiskey and a teaspoon of honey. I feel like I must have been, I don't know how old I would have been, but I definitely would have been too young to be drinking a shot of whiskey. But it was always amazing. It was always amazing. It was always golden. It would always knock you right out, funny enough. A bit better maybe. Slept a lot today. Just up now because I fancy a snack. Banana and a tea, then back to bed. Nice. Yeah, that's the best thing for it. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. That's the other thing they say, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. I think that's it, Lindsay. My mum was plying me with alcohol. Give me booze, getting me boozed up. Work today on the waterfall stream? What do you mean? As in, did I work on this off stream? No. I worked on the secret. The secret's over here. Shh, secret. Off stream. I don't really do much, especially in this game. I don't tend to play unless I'm recording. That doesn't mean you see everything that I record because I cut a hell of a lot. Yeah, I cut crazy amounts. Maybe one day I'll get to a point where I just like use all the footage, but I never do. Have we looped back round again? Maybe we're back to the beginning of the playlist. Yes, the secret. You're not allowed to look in there. Episode 12. Shh, secret. Because I know what is a stream, but all of that gubbins under there is new, so couldn't it be spoiling Saturday's episode? I'm just working on the stream in this live. Yeah, that's the title of the stream. Streaming a stream. Streamception. Streaming, working on the stream. Might do a bit of like over there, but yeah, it's pretty much just it's basically what we're doing. There's going to be no amazing. There's nothing amazing. Just going to be chilled. It's one of those placing rock streams, I'm afraid. Every now and again these have to happen. I think everybody does these every now and again. Mum used to bake scones and biscuits when my brother and I were sick. Nice. I don't remember my mum baking that much. My mum went through a period of time where she made wedding cakes for people. That was pretty epic. And like something out of an Enid Blyton novel, we'd get to lick the bowl after she'd made the cake mix. That was always pretty epic. My latest episode got corrupt. 4 hours of footage gone. Sad times. Yeah, that sucks. I had did I say this? I feel like I said this to you, Lindsay, but I've been recording all day for this episode that's out on Saturday, and I hadn't switched my OBS over from House Flipper, and I'm stupid. I'm an idiot. Like, I should have checked it, but I've been recording all day. Because what I tend to do is basically just I just start recording. Occasionally I switch it on and off again, depending on what I'm doing, but I generally just hit the hotkey to record. Or if I'm doing anything that I think is like something I might want to include in the video, I just hit record. And then I like narrate over it later and stuff. But I've been recording all day, and then at the end of the day looked at the footage, and it was like the little thumbnail was black. I was like, oh no. And there was like there were like 5 or 6 clips, and it must have been about 7 or 8 hours worth of video. And not corrupted, it was all fine. I'd recorded everything. Every time I wanted to record, I'd recorded, but I was just recording a black screen because it was set to the wrong game. I have since changed it so that doesn't happen. I could have done that ages ago, but yeah, it sucks when that happens. I'm sort of lucky because I record a lot, so It's just going to be like Saturday's episode will just be like, and here's like a load of stuff you haven't seen me build. My grandma grew up in a time where kids got a spoonful of heroin when they were sick. Oh, I've seen this before. Yeah, I saw this on something not that long ago about how that was, because wasn't that the thing with like a load of the German soldiers in the Second World War were all just on like methamphetamines and stuff, because it was something that it was like kind of normal. It was like a normal thing that you could buy, like so I guess that's sort of the same with the heroin, but it was like the medicinal qualities. Oh god, that's amazing. That's mad though, isn't it? Mad to think that. I wonder how much they knew. I guess it's no different to cigarettes. Well, it is different to cigarettes, but you know, in terms of the like that they know loads of shit and they don't tell people about it because it's selling loads. Maybe it was like that. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm sure there's a thing about methamphetamine that the German army, a load of the German soldiers were on methamphetamine, and it was a prescription drug that people just took as like a thing to like get over fatigue and stuff. And like if you had a deadline, just take some meth. Just take some amphetamines. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like how many things that we would like now will look back on in 30 years time and be like, yeah, everybody just had that. It was like a normal thing you could get from the supermarket. Maybe that'll happen at some point. That will be like, yeah, all these nutters that actually had Coca-Cola, the amount of sugar that these people drank in this age or ate in this age. Use GeForce but going to switch to OBS. Yeah, I've only ever used OBS. I do actually have to say the only time I ever use Shadowplay is if I'm streaming. Shadowplay is better on your, I think, is better on your like resource management. So you're more likely to be able to kind of, yeah, it doesn't hit your resources as much. But OBS is, OBS is like just, kind of so easy to use, to be honest. I think it's not probably as easy as just hitting a hotkey on Shadowplay, but it's just got more control. It used to be actual cocaine in Coca-Cola. Yeah, that's mad as well. That's mad. It's madness. It's like there's something weird about Kellogg's cornflakes as well. I'm remembering that wrong. Is there not something? I feel like there's something weird about them that I vaguely remember from a film. So that's going to have like a little something to hide that away, obviously. Yeah, right. Meth was usually hidden in chocolate. Every soldier used it to be fearless and all awake. After war, they were all addicted, and science noticed it as a drug. Fucks you up. It's like heroin. Yeah, I can't remember what I was watching. I was watching some like the World at War documentary or something, and they were talking about how doses of methamphetamine were just like a thing you could get from the chemist. I guess the equivalent nowadays is like opioids, isn't it? I guess that's the thing. How many people have been just given like prescription opium addictions? But yeah, it's kind of mad to think that I wonder what would, in 30, 40 years time that we'd be looking at our generation retrospectively going, how did they not realise what they were putting, what they were eating? Maybe it'll be gluten. Maybe I'm a trailblazer. Maybe people will be like, why did we ever eat gluten? It was crazy. I'm not equating gluten to heroin by any way. I'm drinking my cold coffee. Ugh, cold coffee. Or maybe the opposite will be the case, and actually the use of drugs will become much more normalized and like a choice. I do think this is a bit of a weird one, but I do feel like sometimes the whole like drugs are bad thing is a bit of a simplification of everything. Just to say all drugs are bad, I think is a bit of a simplification. And it doesn't, like, if you're a kid, my fault, and I think I was kind of lucky that my mum never really did this, but we never really had the sort of like, you know, everything is bad, you should never do it sort of thing. Maybe we do something like that as well. Because I don't think that works. Like, kids just like, you make choices and you might come across something and you might make a choice to do something or you might not, but just saying something bad. And the thing is, there's no like, I think if you're a kid or anyone that's kind of, you know, vaguely thinks about it, it's all a bit hypocritical, isn't it? Because we all, you know, we all eat fatty foods and we all eat, you know, lots of people drink alcohol and etc, etc, drink coffee and smoke cigarettes and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, see, I like this one. This track is one of my faves. It's that sort of tribal music, like a Ladysmith Black Bumbazo sort of thing. Right, so we'll do that, I think, and then we'll have to do some stuff that suggests that water's coming out. So one of the tricks to doing this, if you get one of the small jets and you turn it on its side, and it does like it's got some sort of gravity going on, so it does obviously go down and fall like that. So if you push it, and you can actually tip it up as well, so you'll get the like curve of it. Stick it way back somewhere. We were never lectured about drugs. Mum and Dad's informative years were the late 60s, so right, yeah. And my dad smoked like a chimney when I was a kid, so it was he couldn't really lecture us. Although I do vaguely remember him saying once if he ever caught me smoking cigarettes, he'd make me eat them. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. So some splashing, obviously, and maybe it needs a bit. It probably needs quite a bit more. If in doubt, more is always the answer. If in doubt, more and more. Where's that even going? Where's that jet even gone? I don't know. I've lost it now. It's all the way over there. I can't even work out which way that's even going. There we go. When I was a kid, my parents gave me some money to go to the corner shop to get some cigarettes. It was no problem back then. We also had this chocolate sticks looking like cigarettes. Yeah, we had those as well. They're like imitation cigarettes. You definitely couldn't buy cigarettes as a kid. You definitely couldn't go into a shop and buy cigarettes for anyone, because it was always a bit of a thing. It was like, as you got a bit older, it'd be like, you know, kids would hang around about outside shops and get younger kind of adults to buy them cigarettes and things. But yeah, I remember the sort of chocolate, the fake cigarettes was definitely a thing. Okay, so I think probably the big splash is going to be too much, but let me do some of this gubbins. Do you know what would be really handy as well? Is if you could just have these, but like turn off the little nozzle for them, or have them invisible or something. Some way of just kind of not having them show up. We could buy them with a paper from mum or dad saying 1 pack of... Oh, interesting. Right. Interesting. So if you had a note from your mum and dad, you could buy them. Yeah. It was never really a thing for me when I was a kid. Never really appealed to me to smoke. I just thought, I think it was because it was just like, you know, I just used to hate the smell. Because I guess if you're around it all the time anyway, I mean, I didn't, my dad was only around until I was 4, so I didn't, but I think I just kind of remember it always being like stinking of cigarettes. And you'd come home from seeing him and just like all my clothes would stink of cigarettes. Or you used to go to the, like, if you go to the pub or anything, and just everything would just reek, couldn't it? What am I looking for? That one, is it? Rapids? It's not it. It's not what I want. It's not the one. It's that one. Used to go to the shop for my parents' cigarettes. They would send me with a note saying they had sent me for them. Oh, same. All right, interesting. So you had the same. Yeah, we never had that. I remember once having, because I have an older brother, 3 years difference between us, and I remember once coming, my mum, me and my older brother having just done, as boys do, the most horrendous fart in our bedroom, and we're standing there with the window open, wafting, both laughing, wafting the smell towards the window, and my mum being absolutely convinced. She came in and was convinced we were smoking and trying to get rid of the smell. It was just because one of us, I don't remember which one it was, but one of us had done a horrible, one of those horrible farts that just pills you, makes your eyes bleed, sort of thing. Used to lecture my parents about smoking. They would smoke in the car while I was in it, and I hated it. Yeah, I think my dad did as well. Both gave up when they were 40 and haven't smoked since. That's pretty cool. Yeah, my dad, I'm not sure when my dad gave up. I know he put on a load of weight initially because he used to just like eat sweets and stuff. Because that's what a lot of people say, that's, you know, quit cigarettes, like smoking. It's almost just the, like, having something to do. It's almost like a fidget spinner. Do you know, it's like a what do you do with your hands? And my dad was like, I just started eating sweets, because it was like, you know, the habit of having something. Yeah, that looks alright. Let's do a little bit more faux. Oh, we've got cap locks on. But yeah, neither me or my brother have ever smoked. Well, I went through a bit of a period at uni. Used to be a sort of a bit of a social smoker, that when I'd have a drink, but not very often. I'd buy my own cigarettes, but well, I'm currently doing those makes your eyes bleed fast. I guess it is from the meds. Taking Kaz has already told me I'm mad fast. That's love for you. It's love. Oh well. You've got an excuse. You've got an excuse if you're sick of it. You can definitely fart away. Trump away as much as you like. No, that's not got any... it's not actually got any water on it, has it, that? Can it go any lower? Can. Is that in the water? Yeah. Do 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 do. Stinky. Look at that, my nose is so blocked. Oh no, so you don't even know how bad it is. Brilliant. Do, 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 do. Yes, I know this is not the most exciting of builds for the stream, but kind of needs to be done. I feel like that's a bit too extreme there. It's very like crazy up the top as well, isn't it? I do feel sorry for him a little. Don't say this for me. This is a really relaxing scene. You create this with. Oh, thank you, Nadine. Sweet. It's a bit extreme, that. I'm not sure if it's... It just feels a bit much, and then it doesn't really play out. Like the amount of water that's pouring over there. Oh, it's actually that. Oh, that might help then. So if I just tip that... Bit like before. Yeah, I guess we could just put another blockage in there. Maybe that'll make it feel better. just feels like it's a lot of water pouring over there and then it's really still all of a sudden. I guess what we could actually do, yeah, maybe we'll do this. We'll make it smaller. That's not what I want. Tiger. Just make it kind of meander a bit, so it's not quite so. Not so big. It's making me want to pee. It's a bit rushy, isn't it? Let's pause it. There you go. Do you know what would be wicked? It's like a slider. So that you could just turn down the amount of water. I've got to play it. Unfortunately, because I need to be able to see the. Kind of need to be able to see the amount of splashing. I think it needs to be a log. Can we do one of like these sorts of size of things? Was that a bit mad? Well, that could probably work. Do. So yeah, actually for once I've kind of got a bit of a plan for this zoo. Not definite, not like 100%, but it's starting to come together that I've collected some thoughts. I guess we could have some, maybe have some foliage and stuff in here as well. Probably not going to stay, but we'll go with that for a minute. So have I done anywhere that I've done? I have done some like grass. See, it's much more rocky up this end. I'm not sure if that's what I want everywhere. It's a lot thicker, isn't it? A lot more developed here. I think it's all right because the thing is, it's going to have, as I said, it's going to have paths and things over the top of it. It's not going to be that it's like a major thing that you look at. God, we've got a long way to go still. Yikes. Let's do another little stretch then. So I think I was pushing the terrain down. It's definitely my most favourite zoo ever. Just has such a cozy, happy, serene. Nice, thank you very much. Yeah, I think it's going to be cool once it's done. I've got all sorts of plans that I'm not going to tell you. Got all sorts of secret plans that I'm excited to get building on. I think that's the key with this game, is that it's like, if you can find a project that you really want to play, And this has definitely been keeping me going. I think we'll probably will go back to Zimba fairly soon, in a few weeks, and then we'll go back to having them kind of both running at the same time again. Because I was just having that switch, because obviously that's a really different sort of theme and everything, and the settings are all different, so it did really help me to keep it fresh and to not stagnate too much. It's weird how it does that sometimes. And some of these are just, obviously that's too close to the water's edge, I guess. I've made a little bit of progress on the gift shop as well, but not enough to include in an episode. And there's a few, as you sort of see, I've got a few, this is just like roughly sketching, but this is a few planned for some path. Because the thing about Seal Beach was that when I built it, I mean, it has kind of got an entrance and an exit, but it's got a bit of a weird, just take a break from that for a second. It's got a bit of a weird thing in terms of you used to be able to go that way, and if you went this way you kind of come to a bit of a dead end. You reminded me to save. Which I kind of like all this backstage bit, but it doesn't make sense, because in terms of like guest flow, you'd come to here and then you'd have to turn back on yourself in order to get out of this section, because that way was all backstage staff area, which we could change this to guest, but we're pretty much right up against the boundary here, so I don't know. I'm not really sure how much of this, like, there's a lot of this I want to keep, a lot of this building I want to keep because I'm really happy with that, and a lot of this backstage area that's got to be filled in again as a pool. It's got some really like bits that I'm really proud of still, but yeah, it's got a long way to go. It's still got a long way to go to fold it in. As I said, I'm feeling like this whole section is going somehow, and it's got like a bit of a tropically theme in places that needs to change, and I'm not sure about this willow either. I think that willow's probably got to go. No, all of it is playing, so you have the option, you play when you first start playing Planet Zoo, you play it all in like, you know, with everything switched on, but you have a setting that you can just kind of go creative mode, and effectively that just turns off all the animal care and everything. So the zoo is closed at the moment, but I've chosen specific things that I want it to worry about. So I don't think animals die in my zoo. No, animals don't die of age. Animal death is off. Like birth and stuff is off, and everything else is all being managed. So the keepers will do all the feeding and everything still. But to be fair, even if they weren't, they wouldn't die. They could all be starving. This is sort of the management part of it. I'm not really that bothered about anymore. I like having the animals. Realistically, the animals have always kind of just been almost like a platform, really. They're just like an excuse to build. for me in this game. They're not really. Do you know what I mean? They're sort of they're almost like the structure that you build around. Same as anything really. But yeah, I stopped playing all the kind of management parts of it. I did do that for a while. When I first started playing the game, I played franchise for quite a long time. But it's actually quite well, franchise for one thing, when they first brought it out, it's quite difficult to record with because in this I can set the weather. Yeah, basically I've got the weather switched off. I can change the time of day whenever I want to. If you imagine you're recording it, suddenly it gets really dark and starts raining. It's quite difficult to record that. You don't want to record it, so you pause it, or you stop recording, then you wait, and then you wait for it to stop being night or stop raining, and it really just can really end up slowing you down. Didn't fancy attempting the new time challenge then? No. No, not so much. Could not be bothered with that. Just find them a bit stressful. It's just not what this game is for me. This game is like peace and chill, gently placing things down, considering every placement of a rock. It's not rushing against time. It's the complete opposite of how I want to play the game. It's kind of fun to experience of it when we did those, but I just ended up getting on my nerves. Mainly because I think that little bit of me that's like the kid that used to, when I couldn't do a jigsaw as a little boy, just would like whack it into place. There's a little bit of that still resides in me. So when I can't do a time trial in Planet Zoo, there's a bit of me that's just like, well, just smash it into place, brute force it, it'll work. And when they're hard, which they don't have to be, I think that was the trouble, because I made the decision that I was only going to play on hard mode, and I wanted to get the gold standard of achievement, but then threw a strop when I couldn't get it to work. Basically, that's the truth. Yeah, I was terrible at that sort of thing. I'm actually far less bashy as an adult, but I was quite a bashy kid. Not in like particularly. I was definitely not like a bully at school or any of those sorts of things. I was always quite mild mannered, but I just used to get frustrated with things I couldn't do. And yeah, it was like I just would be convinced. I'd convince myself that it was somehow the fault of the jigsaw maker, that this piece was supposed to go there, but it had just been poorly manufactured or something, and therefore it needed just some gentle encouragement. Smash it into place, and then it'll be fine. Or maybe it was more that they can. I think maybe this is like. I think this is probably actually more. This is why I never really liked maths at school. I was always much more into like English and artsy kind of stuff. Not particularly artistic. I was never great at like arty stuff at school. And I think it was because there was like maths has always got that thing that's like, yeah, there's like a right and a wrong. There's a definitive yes and no to this. And I think that's the same in my brain. That's the same thing that was like rebelling against the jigsaw. Whereas English is like, interpretive, and you can be like, well, maybe the jigsaw piece doesn't need to go in there. Maybe the jigsaw piece, maybe if we push the jigsaw piece into this place, we can actually create a different picture. Maybe there's not supposed to be a bird there. Maybe it's supposed to be a, I don't know, a bunch of grapes or something. Smash it into place. Can't ever imagine you being angry. I very, very rarely lose my temper, to be honest. It's pretty rare. The sort of things that make me angry are really not like they don't tend to be things about me, to be honest. I don't get angry very often at all. I can, like, you know, things can upset me, definitely. But I don't really get that angry that much. Which I guess is a good thing. That's like something that I'm alright with. There's like water just like flying over here, isn't there? Yeah. This is the trouble. Actually, you've placed these things down there, really difficult to get rid of. Ugh, I might have to just accept that's going to be there. I'm trying to think what the last thing that made me angry, well, actually really kind of... Actually, you know what? The thing with the landlord, that made me angry. That did genuinely make me angry. The thing with the landlord trying to... It's that sort of thing. That's the sort of thing that makes me angry. It's like injustice-y sort of things. Or in like entitlement sort of thing. Yeah. There's some really quiet tracks because the main theme now seems a tad too loud. Yeah, I think what we've just had... I'll go down a bit on the volume. I noticed that myself actually, but I think we just transitioned from the speaker music back to the in-game music. So that speaker music is all quieter. Should be better now. It's usually about 35 that I have it. Yeah, the land that's something that did annoy me. Because it is just that. It's that. I do have a bit of a social... I do have a little bit of a tendency to get on my like social injustice horse platform, whatever you want to, like that. You know, I'm definitely a bit of a. There's definitely a bit of a like burn the establishment thing in me. Just destroy it all, but take it all down. That sort of thing. Have I not told you this? Yeah, she conceded. I thought I told you guys this. So she conceded it all. I can't remember what I've now told you. So the landlord came back. So for those of you watching that don't know anything about this story, it's fair enough if you don't know this story. I just fairly recently moved out of somewhere. We spent a lot of time and effort, and we'd always looked after the place to make it all nice. And I've rented most of my life. I've never moved out of anywhere that they've tried to get money off of me. My landlords have always, been happy, and I've always looked after the place. And it was no different this time. We left it really spotless. There was a couple of places where we'd taken down pictures that the landlady wanted money to fix, and I was kind of all right with that. Up until the point where she started to lie, said that she'd never given us permission to do it, and that we shouldn't have done it, and that basically it was meaning that she was going to have to incur £250 worth of damage. And part of it was also to that she said that we hadn't cut the hedges down in the garden as we should have been doing. But unfortunately, and this is sometimes happens, people that she is a multi-millionaire. She's got a house in Chelsea, which is like one of the most expensive places in London to live. And she's got the house that we were renting off of her. And I know that house we were renting off of her was worth over £1 million as well. Over £1 million. So she's worth a lot of money, and so £250 to someone who's renting your house is a much bigger amount of money than someone that's a millionaire. But yeah, so she basically just sort of told us we had to pay all this money, and it was all just see what you can get away with, really. And she hadn't thought to look at the contract. So I was like, 250 quid, you're taking the mick, that's a joke. And also she'd had more than one, like I'd actually showed her some of the areas that were like the decorating where I'd showed her beforehand, about a month before I'd moved out. I'd showed her, and she hadn't, and actually her husband had taken pictures, and they hadn't said anything about it. They hadn't given us the opportunity to do anything about it. They didn't discuss it with us. They spent £54 on a tin of paint, custom tin of paint from Farrer and Ball. That's like really, really expensive paint to fix this little patch. And they wanted to charge us for that. And then they wanted to charge us to cut the hedges, and they wanted to charge us to jet wash the patio and all those sorts of things. All stuff that's like, if you've never rented somewhere, there's an amount of stuff that's kind of fair use, and that when you move out of a flat or a house or something, there's an amount of stuff that's just like, okay, that's just what happens when people live somewhere. It can't be immaculate. There's going to be like scuff marks on the walls, and there's going to be a few little bits and pieces. Generally speaking, we left it really well. So she said 250 quid. I said, not a chance. Prove it's worth 200. Prove it's 250 quid. Where are you coming up with that figure? And she didn't have any. She didn't. She just basically just put a finger in the air and said, "See if I can get 250 quid out of them." And then once we'd got back the breakdown, it was £110. And I didn't want to tell her any of the, I didn't basically argue much of it. I wanted to see what the breakdown was. It was £110 to do the garden, and then it was £54 for this tin of paint, and whatever the balance was to do these little bits of fixing up. So then I went through all the contract, and the contract said that it was her responsibility every year to cut the hedges, and she never did that. And in fact, it actually even said, the contract even said we were forbidden to cut or prune any of the bushes or the hedges at the back. So that was £110 written off of it straight away, because she obviously didn't know what she was talking about. And so we conceded to some of the decorating, basically. And she never said anything. Basically, I presented all the evidence. She never said anything. And the next thing we know, they've just, it's come back from the letting agency saying that she's conceded. She never said anything back to me. That was quite satisfying. So that did annoy me, and still does a little bit annoy me. Mainly because she was always like, actually, do you know what really does annoy me? I don't think I've said this before, but I pride myself for being a pretty honest person. I think I'm a pretty decent person. I'm pretty straight. I know sometimes people can find me a bit rude or not quite get my sense of humour because I'm a bit direct. I can be. But I am honest, and I'm honest because, well, one reason I've always said this to people is I'm honest because I've got a terrible memory, so I'm a really, really bad liar. So it just sort of made me an honest person. That's what I've always told myself. I'm honest because I can't lie. I'm really bad at it. I've got a really crap memory. You got to have quite a good memory to be a liar. So that's always been a thing. So anyone that's just I'm not good with dishonesty and entitlement, basically. Those are pretty much the one things that get me annoyed. And there's unfortunately an enormous amount of entitlement, a lot of the time there's enormous amounts of things that don't seem very fair in the world, and that does get on my wick. I think I've got tools though that knowing how to manage when I'm quite good at like observing my own emotions. I didn't used to be. When I was a teenager, I was terrible at it. I was a bit of a, I basically just didn't really ever have emotions. I thought emotions were for other people. And I was a bit of a blunt object, really. I didn't really like think about things very much. I wasn't very introspective or emotionally intelligent or anything. I was a bit of I wasn't thick, but I just wasn't like, I just thought, other people got upset and other people talked about how they felt, and I didn't really. That wasn't really for me. I don't know if I just thought it was weak or something. Maybe I did. And yeah, that's definitely changed as I've got older. It's much more that So those sorts of things, things that kind of where I think people were being kind of shit on. In other words, that does kind of annoy me, and I can be a bit self-righteous about it sometimes, and a bit uppity and all those sorts of things. But yeah, other than that, like on a day-to-day basis, I'd say I'm quite good at sort of spotting. I think I said this the other day, a couple of streams ago. I said this about. I used to use my iPod as an indication of how I felt. Sounds a bit weird, but I'd get up in the morning and I'd be going to work, or I'd be going out or doing something, and I'd put my iPod on shuffle, and whatever felt right, whatever I stuck on, was an indication of what my mood was like. So if I was like, some days you get up and you're like, oh, I actually kind of really want to listen. So I'd put it on shuffle and I'd listen to a few songs and I'd let it shuffle. If it was something that I wasn't feeling, I just would let it shuffle and it would shuffle onto the next one. And then if it felt like it sort of fit to how I was feeling, I'd leave it, or I'd like go for like more of the same or something. Can't even remember how the iPods work anymore, but that was like my little kind of way of understanding how I was feeling about something. Really, it was like, oh, this is a Rage Against the Machine day, or this is I don't know, Nina Simone day, or it's, something chilled. And that's always worked pretty well. And so now I've like, sometimes when I'm angry or I'm like annoyed or upset about something, I'm not too bad now at sort of stepping back from it and not getting lost in it. And that for me has always been the key, not to get kind of lost in the anger or whatever, just to be able to go like, okay, why am I angry? What's going on? Why is my heart suddenly like pounding in my chest? She sounds like a nasty piece of work, like most landlords. The thing is, George, I think the trouble is, and we've talked about this before in stream, but like, if you only ever live in a life of privilege and you don't meet people that you have like real interactions with, like that's just how that's just how she's used to, like that's how people behave. Maybe that's just how people behave in her world, that they just like, well, just shit all over you, just basically whatever I can get out of this situation. And it's not about what's like decent. I mean, we gave her the 72 quid, but even the 72 quid, I was like, no, I just would never have done that. I would never have done that. I've been a tenant for 4 years. Every month I've always paid the rent on time. There's never been a problem. When we moved out, we had it professionally cleaned. We had it all sorts of stuff done that we didn't need to have done. And every time there's ever been an issue, some of those issues I fixed. Like there was a leak in tap, I fixed it. I saved her the money. I fixed it myself. So that's all just stuff that's like, bit of me that just goes, there's a difference between, like, we gave her the 72 quid because I was pretty much going, if this goes to a third party, they won't just go, they won't take into consideration what's like the decent thing to do. They'll say what, like, technically she's entitled to this. But yeah, there's a difference, and that's, I struggle with that sometimes. Is like, why are some of us kind of, why do some of us wear? It's a bit like the oh god, we're in deep on this one now. But it's a bit like the charity stuff. Like, if you look at any information, if you look at the data, and this is a broad sweeping statement, because there are lots and lots of really, really wealthy people who give enormous amounts of charity. But whenever you look at things that are like, they do these mass appeals, a lot of the time that money comes from the people that are at the bottom end of the spectrum. We're the working class people front up and pay for stuff that's like, well, yeah, but we shouldn't have this imbalance if it wasn't for the fact that all these people making all this, if we didn't have the kind of the multi billionaires not paying their ways, we wouldn't have to have all the rest of us fronting up for the rest of it. We're definitely in deep. I'm going to lose some people. I can feel the dislikes coming. I'm probably already at my dislike. I think I was already at my dislike quota before I'd even started the stream. Thanks to whoever is that subscribes to me, that dislikes me instantly when I start a stream. But yeah, those are the things that, as I said, I can get a bit preachy and a bit like I've got some social injustice warrior hat on. And there's some legit reasons for that. I have some, like, I'm not talking, I think I've said this before. I have said this before, but I was a volunteer Samaritans for 2 years, and it was horrific to hear the number of people who, when they cut all the, they were cutting mental health budgets and mental support stuff all over the place, and all of these people just like, I've got nowhere to go, what am I supposed to do? And we're terrified. And it's just just gets on my, really does grind me. It's just not right. And it's unfortunately, sometimes it feels like it's so difficult for any of that sort of stuff to change. And again, to go back to my landlady, I think the reason why it is difficult to change is because, to an extent, we all exist in echo chambers, right? Not just social media wise, but we do. If you've never experienced what it is like to have someone knock on your door, like to collect money, and you can't afford to pay the rent, how do you know? Like, your feeling of what money is different. Hey Micah, how you doing, bud? You are a dislike short. Keep going. We'll get there. That doesn't work. Those don't work. I've used the wrong bits there. I think it shouldn't be how the world works, and to an extent, and I've definitely said this before. Things are different, right? Things are different. We're all in the moment of what we're experiencing, and if you look across any kind of statistics, like healthcare, social support for people, support for the mentally ill, recognition of people that are, the sort of disenfranchised or the not recognised, or the minority groups. Think about something like anyone that's got any kind of I think some of it goes a bit far sometimes, but sexuality, different groups of sexual groups. I'm not great with talking with this stuff, but because I'm not at all an authority. I'm a heterosexual white man, and it's difficult to talk about. It's difficult for me to have a perspective on what it is to be a a minority, but you can kind of go. I mean, actually, let's take a simple one. It's not at all the same, but what we were talking about with dietary requirements earlier, like that's exactly this sort of exactly the same as a lot of things. Like our understanding of what it is to be any number of things. You know, even talking about mental health. Like when would your grandparents be talking about mental health or depression or, you know, anxiety or bipolar or something? These things all massively do evolve. It just never, you know, when we're in it, it feels like there's an injustice. But things on a more zoomed out scale do generally always get better. I can't remember the original thing that sparked all this off. Oh dear. I love to get on my my soapbox sometimes, but hey ho. And I think the thing is, I think what kind of frustrates me about sometimes I get frustrated by that what you just said, Micah, and I know this is not at all criticism of you, but saying that is just the way the world is kind of like, it's kind of like what the system wants, right? All the people that make all the money want us always just to, you know, the people that are like making the most money and paying bugger all taxes want us just to feel resigned to the fact that it can never change and just to go, oh, that's just the way it is. It's shit. There's nothing we can do about it. When I was a kid, I never gave two hoots about politics. I never thought it was relevant. I vaguely remember just being like, they're all the same. They're all the same. There's no difference between these politicians whatsoever. It's pointless. Don't bother voting. I didn't vote until I was 25. And now I feel really differently about it. And I really do think you can make a difference. You can make a difference. And you know, we all have to go whenever we get the chance. We all have to go, and it's not necessarily that you have to like march on Parliament or anything. Most of the time my philosophy of that is just like, be nice to people, right? Just be a decent human to people. Don't, because you're getting shit on, just shit on everybody else. And that's my thing with the landlord. That's all my thing with the landlord. It's just like, you've lived a life of privilege. Why are you shitting on me? Out of anybody here that should be shitting on it, it's not the one who lives in a bloody mansion in Chelsea. Anyway, right, moving on. What shall we do? So I think that's gonna. I think I'm probably good with that for now. We might do a bit of. Let's save it. We might do a bit of mountain. So this is obviously going to need loads more. And what I'll do is, as I bring the zoo to them, I'll do more of kind of, you know, filling in the foliage and stuff. And I think we'll probably have, yeah, more of it feel like this. You should make a city. Quite like the idea of eventually ending up just making like random stuff. I did think the other day about making a house in this game at some point, but doing it on like a different sort of scale. Like if I think I talked about this before, but like using one of the big plaster pieces as like bricks and stuff. Let's not use that. It's a bit crap. This is all a bit rough here. It's always the high-flying eagles that do the biggest poos from a great height. Yeah, nice. Let me try. And I mean, even that, you can take positivity from the fact that, you know, obviously there's an enormous disconnect between different ends of the spectrum, and I'm no way am I saying that I'm someone that's, you know, I come from a working class background, and I was, you know, we were poor when I was a kid, but I'm not that anymore. So I'm not, you know, not by any means am I saying I'm, you know, this is worries me or anything at all. I'm not saying that, but I think the fact that we are much more aware nowadays of how much of a disconnect there is, even though we're still in that kind of apathetic, there's nothing we can do about it phase, at least more people are conscious of the fact that there's like a massive disconnect between the top 1% and the rest of us. Like, it's shocking when you see some of that information. And I do think that's changed. It feels like that's changed in my lifetime and probably will continue to change, which is definitely a positive. But as I said, yeah, it never feels like it happens quickly enough. And when you've been, you know, if you're sitting on a phone and you're hearing the Samaritans, for anyone who doesn't know, is like the UK's suicide hotline. Is like a, you know, it's volunteers, it's a charity, and it's for people from all kinds, you know, whatever your situation is. If you're feeling like you're about to commit suicide and you need someone to talk to, not to necessarily talk you out of it, but just to talk to, that's what the phone number's there for. And I did that for 2 years. And so hearing people that are like directly kind of just going, I'm done, I'm going, because I, like, my support has been taken away. I used to go to such and such, and now I don't, that they've taken that, closed it all down. Like, that's proper something that does make you kind of go, yeah, you can see the direct result of decisions that get made. And it does make you feel like, you know, it's not all disconnected from reality. It does feel like, you know, the people that make the decisions have cascading effects on people that make people's life different. To be able to value something, you have to know how it's to live with it without it first. Yeah, I totally agree. And that's the same, it's the same principle that applies to emotion as well as things. And that's why I don't think my landlady is a bad person, or, you know, most of the time. And it's sort of, sometimes it's easier to tell yourself this, like if someone's been an arsehole to you, just to go, I don't really realise they're being that much of an arsehole. They don't realise they're being that much of an arsehole because they've never experienced someone being an arsehole. Do you know what I mean? In that sort of way. If you've never experienced what it's like to be really, really like terrified or in pain, or it's a bit like someone says you've got a headache. You don't know what a headache is. You've never experienced what that other person's headache is. You know what you think is a headache. Well, the same applies to everything, doesn't it? Someone says I'm upset or I'm afraid. How do I know what that means? I don't. I only know my version of that. And if I've never had that, imagine you've never had a headache and someone says to you, I've got a headache, you wouldn't know what it was. You wouldn't feel sympathetic or empathetic to that person. You just would be like, all right, what's that then? But it's when you've experienced that thing yourself, then you know how shitty it can be to have a headache or a migraine. I think that makes sense. I'm not sure. Anyway, we've definitely gone into I can completely see why this has ended up being the way I'm talking about stuff tonight, and some of you will understand where that's come from. Agree with 90% of how you view. When I was born, I was below middle class. The lower class is holding up the upper class. I agree. It's not even the upper class though, dude. It's that when you look at the graph, look at the graphs of like distribution of wealth. We're not even talking about, it's not even really the 1% anymore. I feel like it is something like 6 or 7 people in the US, and this will apply to all countries, have got more wealth than 65% of the rest of the population. It's just mad. And how does that happen? How does that end up happening? How is it not get to like... It's a bit like the thing we've got a thing in the UK, or it's sort of just passed, but thing in the UK was like suddenly there's a run on petrol at the petrol stations, and apparently it's because we had a shortfall. I want to say it was like 200,000 HGV drivers, so 200,000 short. So there's a bit of me that goes, how does that happen? You don't suddenly have 200,000 people get on a boat overnight. That happens over a long period of time, but we don't pay any attention to it. So that's the same as like, how have we ended up with 6 people in the US, something like that. I'm not getting the figures right, but it is something like that. Have more than the rest of this, the next 65% of the population put together. If you combine the wealth of like millions and millions of people, it doesn't add up to the amount that 6 people have. How does that happen? Yeah, it's the same as the HGV drivers. You'd think you get to, I don't know, what's reasonable, 50,000? And then someone goes, hang on a minute, we ain't got enough lorry drivers. There's going to be a problem. There's going to be a problem here. We're going to not be able to get any petrol or any food in the supermarkets. How does it not get noticed? It does get noticed. We just ignore it. People just ignore it. The people that notice it are the people that are probably benefiting from it, and so they don't pay any attention to it. Feeling everything you were saying. I'm in the States and things are so out of whack here. I've been working for over 20 years and no hope of retirement and live paycheck to paycheck. That's so shit, isn't it? Hey Phoenix, how you doing, bud? That's so shit. You can't... even that, Micah, is too simple to say. It's not the billion... Of course the billionaires are doing that. If you're Jeff Bezos... Or look at someone like I know he gets a lot of conspiracy theories and stuff, and I don't know that much at all. Everything I'm saying here is just my opinion, right? It's coming out of my face. It's just my opinion. I'm not an authority at all. I'm some random dude playing a game. So yeah, take everything I'm saying with a pinch of salt, because I'm not an authority on anything whatsoever. This is me just talking. But look at someone like Bill Gates, right? Bill Gates does give an enormous amount of money to charity, and he's done an enormous amount of good stuff. But he's also, I don't think he is anymore, but he's been the richest man in the world many, many times. And it's sort of too simple just to say it's the billionaire's fault, because they're playing the game, right? They're playing the game. The game is the game that we're all told to do is just to make money, and it is more so in I can talk with a little bit of knowledge to this because I've lived in the US. I went to uni in the US for a year, and it was really, and so I did my first year in the UK, I then did my second year in the US, and then I did my third year back in the UK. And one of the things that was massively different, and I'm doing the same subject, but the thing that was massively different in the US is that in the US it was much, much more about vocational achievement. It was much more about everything I was doing at uni was about what would make me a better candidate for a job. And that's not necessarily wrong as such, because they're preparing you for going out into the real world. But it was much more about what classes can you do to mean that you get into a job that means you can make the most money. Well, that's all just people playing the game, right? I'm not about, like, if I went on to be a millionaire, I'd like to think that I would be, or a billionaire, can I be a billionaire? Much more likely to think, I'd hope to think that I would be, you know, remember where I'm from and all that sort of stuff. And I think that is the case with a lot of people, but they're just making billions because the game lets them. Here in the States, it's also how the corporations are running our government. We have the infrastructure bill that could potentially improve so many lives and help the planet. Yeah, I know a little bit about that. I have not so much recently, but I used to follow US politics quite a lot. It's far more, I mean, the money in politics stuff in the US is far more of a problem than it is in the UK. I don't know about any other countries, but yeah. And it never gets touched. Those sorts of things never really get on the legislature. They never really change because the people that would talk about it and do anything about it are all the people taking the backhanders, right? And we've got, to an extent, we've got the same but on a smaller scale in the UK. They're the people that the people that run our countries and run our governments go into the after dinner circuit after they leave government, and they do talks and they do things that end up meaning that they're making, and funny enough, the people that are paying them are the people that were like the oil companies and all those sorts of stuff. Oh, that's a bit jank, isn't it? But yeah, I think my philosophy on usually is just like, because sometimes it can get a bit overwhelming and a bit like, you know, you can feel a little bit hopeless about it. And I do think it sounds really simplistic to say, but I don't know, you just sometimes feel like, well, I'm just gonna like smile at people more. I'm just gonna, like, when I walk past someone on the street, I'm gonna be a bit more likely to, you know, like, not just kind of look the other way sort of thing. It sounds a bit naff, but, you know, I think that's, yeah, besides obviously when you get the opportunity, vote when you get the chance. But it isn't really as simple. It's not as simple as just saying, you know, the billionaires should pay more tax, because actually quite a lot of them will probably say they should as well. But, and I've experienced this myself firsthand. I don't, you know, when I'm working, I don't make bad money. And the thing is, as you get more money, you get more people that offer you ways of not paying as much tax. You know, I've had this myself. I don't at the moment, but I had run my own business, and it was done. I basically was told to do that by my accountant, and it was just about, you know, what was the most economic way of making, what was the most efficient way of making the most out of my money, effectively. So that's the thing. Everybody's just playing the game. It's the game that's got to change. That's the thing that's got to be different. News media doesn't cover it to help more people know what's going on, because they're bought off by corporations just to make it a party versus party issue. Yeah, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, all of that sort of stuff. If you're conspiratorial, and I a little bit am sometimes, but you kind of go, it's all about managing the argument. And I'm definitely going to borderline it. So I went, just to let you, so I went to San Francisco State University, right? So there's going to be some left-leaning credentials, and I actually don't. I've got really good friends who've got totally different politics to me, and I know, I have friends that have got good arguments for alternative views of politics and stuff. So I'm not judgmental. I think you should be open to other ideas, and tribalism and all that sort of stuff is a really bad thing for us. But it's all Noam Chomsky called it manufacturing consent. It's basically how you make people do what you want them to do. You just make the argument about what you want it to be about. So you make it about, us versus them, Republicans versus Democrats, Labour versus Conservatives, etc., etc. You just keep that as the sphere of conversation, and you don't make it about, you make it Trump versus Biden. You make it all about make it the debate about what you want it to be about, and then everything else is nobody else's business. So you keep the rest of people, you make the rest of the people apathetic, just resigned to it. I can never do anything about this. We can never do anything about this. It's the way it's going to be forever. This is just, it's shit, but we've all just got to accept it. And that's a perfect example of how you you basically just manufacture consent, and we all just drudge off to work, do our things, pay our taxes. We could use volcanoes as power, but people don't use it. People are running the earth. I think, and to go back to what I was saying about not get too depressed, but because it is all moving in the right direction. It's just always really slow, and there's always, the wheels of government turn like a massive great battleship, like an oil tanker basically. I don't know what the case, I think it's pretty much just as bad in the US, but certainly in the UK, deal with anything. I've worked on technology projects, government and for private sector, and the government is mad. It's just mad how slow everything just takes so long. Every decision takes so long, and the private sector, someone just will go, yeah, that's what we're doing, that feels right, let's do that. More often than not, they'll take a risk, and the governments will just take forever for everything. Yeah, and again, you grew up in California. Yeah. It will all change. You only have to look at it in terms of your grandparents, the way that you feel and the way that you are. And this isn't going to be the majority for everybody, because obviously there are always exceptions. But the way that you are and that you feel, and compare that to how your parents feel, or how emotionally intelligent, and then compare that to your grandparents. And it is a note. You can kind of see that there's a difference, and it's not any, it's not any worse. That's the thing that's often is good to keep perspective of. It's not actually any worse than it's ever been. It's always been like this. It's always been moving really slowly. You think back to kings and queens, we're not in that situation anymore. There's no one chucking there are obviously probably people chucking their poo out of a window still, but it's different. It's way better in everything, in all sorts of things. Crime, all sorts of stuff is way better on every metric you look at. It is, even to an extent, the climate change stuff, it's not moving anywhere near as quickly as we want. But 15-20 years ago, it was something that has been talked about, but was never really seen as anything we would do anything about. It's it will all be, when we run out of oil, we'll have to do something about it. God, we're covering all topics tonight. Government does not work like communism or capitalism. Yeah. Well, the thing is, what's the irony of it is, the government is written down. We don't have a written constitution in the UK. There's no, there is no Declaration of Independence. There's no thing that written down. UK constitution is all based on precedent. It's based on what's been done before, and that's what law is and all that sort of stuff. But you guys have got it written down. It literally talks about how if it doesn't work, do another one. Just do another one. It's the whole thing. Like they were all about that stuff. They were all about the fact that it wasn't expected to be a perfect experiment. It was supposed to be flawed, and that it was always they built into it that governments would be corrupt, and it would be expected that they would be corrupt, and it was our responsibility as the population to do something about it. And that's not, I'm not saying you should burn the capital or anything. I'm saying you should vote. You should see what you should see that you have a part in changing it. Working in the wild animal industry with permits, the timelines for government's response and how long things take is ridiculous. Also that some documents haven't been updated since the 1980s. Yeah, there's all sorts of things like that, aren't there? You do kind of, sometimes you kind of like, the trouble is because sometimes you're like, well, what would you do different? How would you do it different? I've wondered for a while about whether there should just be like a like national service. So like you have to go in, like, why is it, I mean, we don't in the UK, and I know the US don't, but there are countries around the world that still have, I think Switzerland has got a national service, I know Israel does, quite a lot of countries that have national service to go into the military. Well, why is it we don't all have some national service to go and serve in government? Or do something that actually is like contributes to the common good of all of us. If you can have national service, why can't you have national service that applies that you've all got to go and volunteer and do something that's, even if it's like a public service thing, you've all got to volunteer and do something in, I don't know, whatever, anything. Not necessarily that it's an unpaid thing, but you've got to do something that, gives you some sort of exposure, or that not even that, but shares the resources. Because thing is, and again, I know this from private sector and working private sector and public sector, often the skills get pulled into the private sector, and you don't have a reason until you're really, really senior. You don't have a reason to go and work in the public sector because you make less money. Make more money out of banking by far. So yeah, like that would share the skill. That would share all the skills. That would give all the people. That would give all the people that would never consider working in government an exposure to it. It would also give all the people that have lived a life of privilege and exposure to actually what it's like to live, what people's life in wherever is like. Harrow or somewhere, I don't know, wherever, Tottenham. The reason why the government does not work is because of discrimination. I think it's just greed. I think it's just money. It's why most things don't work in our world. In my opinion, it's just money. It's just money. Because we're all taught to be greedy. Anyway, right. I think we need to move on from this subject. I'm kind of getting to the end of my... it's 2.5 hours we've been playing. This has been a weird stream. I've been on a diatribe. Apologies, I've been on a diatribe. I've been on a soapbox whilst making rivers and rock work. We made some progress though. Where did I start off today? It was up there. So I've made a big old jump. It's made a big old jump forwards. So that's alright. So I think what's going to happen is the plan is that the path system... I'm not sure if this path is going to be here. Might be. But basically we're snaking down. Obviously that's not staying there, but the path is going to snake down. In fact, it might go. I've decided whether that path's staying or not, but That's going to go round and then over the bridge, back over here somewhere, and then it's going to like snake back down again. And it's going to go all the way down to the bottom of the hill. Sorry, Lindsay. Yeah, I'm off my soapbox. And then I think there's going to have to be some way of getting it back up to the top of the hill. Because when you're right down at the bottom, how steep up is it? It's not that high. I guess the entrance building right at the top is quite a long way. Are we at peep level? I guess we kind of are. I think if I just keep doing these kind of terraces coming down, it'll work. If it's always kind of feeling like it's snaking down, and then it's got to come down to the bottom. I think this is going to be a lake down here. I think this is going to come down to like a lake with maybe some marsh and stuff. Right then. Yeah, I think that's going to be it, guys. Sorry I've chewed everyone's ear off. I feel like I just needed that. If you're watching this after the fact, I do apologise. Feel free to hit the dislike button. Yeah, sometimes I feel like something triggered it and then it came out and I was, yeah, on a bit of a soapbox. Welcome back, Swifty. We're just about to call it a day. But yeah, we did definitely made some progress. So that's obviously still got a way to go, but not too much further. Maybe like another half again. I've actually noticed as well, I have quite a lot of space back here. Yeah, I do. I've got quite a lot of space back here that we could probably do more with as well. It's going to be pretty, and there's a plan for this little space up here as well. I'll keep that secret for now. But yeah, I think that's going to be it, peeps. Thank you very much for watching. If you're watching this after the fact, don't forget to hit the like button. Much appreciated. And then subscribe if you haven't already. And then there will be the next actual proper episode of Tiguidou, where I show you what's under this box, is Saturday. So yeah, that'll be Saturday, and then I'm not sure what I'm doing next week. Yep, take it easy, peeps. Thanks very much for hanging out. Catch you on the next one.